talked about all of these things that she wrote about proliferously. Her main point at the very beginning, after the disappointment, was to explain what had happened on October 22nd, 1844. Her early visions have that specific purpose, and you can read them in the book Early Writings. Now let me ask you, why would she focus on this specific point? There's so many things that she could have written about, and she could have talked about. Why the 2300 days? Because she was the prophet that made present truth what Daniel spoke about. Are you understanding me or not? Now, what if Ellen White had talked about many other things? Maybe she talked about the Trinity or about health or about, the importance of establishing an educational system or so on. Those would be beautiful and wonderful truths, but they would not make the 2300-day prophecy present truth. She had to address the same issue, the identical issue that Daniel had addressed. Are you with me or not? And that's exactly what she did. Now listen carefully. Ellen White gathered a small remnant. In fact, her first publication was A Word to the Little Flock Scattered Abroad. And in that booklet, she tries to explain what happened in 1844 and the reason for the great disappointment. Now, do you know that New England, where this movement primarily took place, there were many religious movements at this time. That's why New England was known as the burned over district. Because they'd had so many different religious movements. For example, let me mention some of those movements that arose in that same area. Mormonism, with its prophet Joseph Smith. Christian Science, with its prophetess Mary Baker Eddy. Theosophy, New Age theology, Helena Blavatsky. The Baha'i faith originated at that time with its prophet, Abdul Baha. Spiritualism originated in that same general area, the Fox sisters and Andrew Jackson Davis. Pentecostalism had its origin with a woman named Margaret MacDonald. The Jehovah's Witnesses within that time frame had their origin. Futuristic interpretation of Bible prophecy had its origin then, with John Nelson Darby and Edward Irving. Evolutionism had its origin in that time frame. Marxism, which is the philosophy of communism, had its origin during that time frame. What do you suppose the devil was trying to do? With so many religious movements rising in the same general geographical area, people would wonder, where is the truth? Where shall we turn? Do you know how you can know where the truth is? None of those that I mentioned addressed unto 2300 days and the sanctuary shall be cleansed. Only Ellen White and William Miller addressed unto 2300 days and the sanctuary shall be cleansed. Would you expect that to happen at the end of the 2300 days in harmony with God's mode of operation? Absolutely. And you can check it out in history. Now, there are different attitudes towards Ellen White. There are those who openly attack her ministry and writings. And I say basically those who attack the writings of Ellen White, either they haven't read the writings of Ellen White or they read them with an agenda. Every prophet in the Bible was hated by the people to whom the prophet was sent. So if Ellen White is disliked in many circles, I would say she was probably a true prophet. Because Jesus said that the prophets who were liked were false prophets. Because prophets tell the truth and people can't handle the truth. There are other people who ignore Ellen White by not reading her counsels. They're not benefited. There are others that try to undermine Ellen White by selective use of Ellen White when it's convenient for them to use her. And there are people who use Ellen White to hit people over the head. And that's why many people don't want anything to do with her. And then there are those people who love, read, and obey the counsels that God has given through her. Allow me to say, Ellen White does not say anything weird or wacky or off the wall. Her counsels are magnificent. They deal with many different areas: health, education, church organization, theology, pious living. Just read for yourself. You'll be amazed at how God used this remarkable woman to share the truth for these last days.